Arya Sol gripped the shuttle's armrests as the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. "Commander, Terran fleet's in position. Cordon locked. Carix's dreadnought is hailing us. You sure about this?" "Affirmative," she said, her voice steady despite the knot in her gut. "Transmit my terms. Solo envoy. Unarmed. No tricks." The view screen showed the behemoth ahead, a jagged scar of black alloy and pulsing biolumens, its raider wings coiled like a predator's claws. Dozens of Terran warships formed a shimmering blockade, their engines humming tension into the void. Pike's flagship loomed largest, a reluctant sentinel. On the dreadnought's bridge feed, relayed from Pike's command deck, Carix's image filled her display, a towering cephalopod silhouette, tentacles writhing in iridescent menace, crown of tidal spines glinting. "Human envoy," his voice boomed, synthesized gravel over subsonic rumbles. "You board alone, where the first hostage dies screaming." Arya met those multifaceted eyes. "Deal. Docking in 5. Pike's face patched in privately, his jaw tight under the strain of admirals breathing down his neck light years away. "Arya, this is suicide. We can crack that hull." "No assault," she cut him off. "Give me time." She killed the link before his protest could land. The shuttle shuddered into the dreadnought's maw, clamps locking with a metallic groan. Airlock cycled, time to walk the plank. 2 pirate enforcers, hulking chitin-armored Krixari with plasma lances, met her at the hatch. They stripped her sidearm, scanner, even her belt knife, their mandibles clicking approval. One fastened the collar around her neck, cold neural alloy, pricking skin with microfilaments that synced to her vitals. A red telltale blinked. "Move wrong, soft skin," the guard rasped. Tide-crowned trigger's heart stop, or worse. She nodded, pulse hammering but steps measured, following them through labyrinthine corridors reeking of brine and ozone. Hollow screens flickered with hostage feeds. Humans, avian scree, crystalline vellery, scientists all, huddled in cells, faces gaunt. Her eyes snagged on one, Dr. Lena Ortiz, strapped to a med slab in isolation, dark hair matted, arguing furiously with a drone nurse, Lena. The name hit like shrapnel. 5 years since Epsilon IV, when Arya had left her bleeding out to secure the evac shuttle. Duty over love. The scar twisted deeper now. The throne chamber yawned open, a cavern of salvaged hulls and throbbing nerve webs. Carix dominated the center, his massive form coiled on a dais of fused pirate trophies, tentacles undulating through data streams. "Commander Sol," he intoned, voice like grinding reefs. "The Ghost Walker. Approach." She halted 10 paces out, collar humming faintly. "Hostages first, Carix. Release them. And we talk." His laugh echoed, a wet thunder. "Talk? These are not mere meat shields, human. High-value minds. Your Ortiz decodes machine souls. The Scree Quantum Weaver predicts fleet paths. The Lari bioalchemists brew my void shields." Tentacles lashed, pulling up hologrids of contested systems. "Terrans and your lapdog allies hold my worlds. Drift. 9. Null reefs. Release them from your blockades. Sovereignty, or they all shatter. Pirate worlds, leverage for more than ransom. This was galactic chess. Sovereignty's earned, not extorted. But we can negotiate borders." "Negotiate?" Carix's spines flared. "The Archon net devours free space. These minds prove it. Stolen creativity fueling their predictive wars. I liberate what they chain." She scanned the chamber's nerve webs, a habit from Black Ops, amid the pirate code churn. Raider pings, slave overrides. A faint pulse flickered. Encrypted. Alien signature, not Krixari fractal hash. Machine pure, burrowing like a worm in the dreadnought's veins. Someone else was listening, watching. Out in the cordon, Captain Jalen Pike paced his bridge, sweat beating under his collar. The Terran Council's priority burst hit his console. "Envoy failure triggers assault in T-60. No extensions. Secure scientists at all costs." His fingers hovered over the timer sync. Arya's shuttle was dark now, no outbound signal. "Helm." Arm disruptors quiet like, he murmured to his XO. "Countdown live, but mummed to Sol. God help us if she smells it." The XO nodded grimly, fingers flying. Pike stared at the dreadnought's silhouette, blockade ships twitching like leashed hounds. Risk-averse? Hell, this was political suicide either way, but orders were orders. Back aboard, Arya locked eyes with Carix. No repeats. Not this time. Epsilon Ivoy's ghost whispered, "You left her. Chose the many. Not again. Every soul walks off alive, or I don't. Carix, those worlds aren't yours to—" A tentacle slammed a console. Alarms wailed. External comms severed in a digital screech. Fleet links, council feeds. All dark. Carix's image broadcast galaxy-wide from the dreadnought's spines, his form looming over every receiver. Factions of the void, Terrans, net drones, cowards in the black, heed the tide crowned. 1 hour. Any ship twitches, any probe, any breach, 10 hostages die, starting with the human witch, Ortiz. Lena's feed flashed live, her eyes wide, restraints biting flesh as pirates dragged her toward an airlock. Their screams will echo your failure. Arya's collar tightened a warning pulse, tentacles coiling toward triggers. The chamber's air thickened with brine sweat and ozone fury. 1 hour. The signal wormed deeper in the systems. Pike's fleet bristled unseen, and Lena stared from the hollow, lips mouthing silent betrayal. You came. She straightened, resolve hardening like hull armor. No sacrifices. Not one. But the collar's prickle reminded her. Freedom's price was already biting. The 2 armed guards flanking Arya shoved her forward through the rusted bulkhead, their tentacles coiling tight around her elbows. Dim red lights flickered over vast cargo bays retrofitted into humming nightmares. Rows of translucent pods stretched into shadow, each cradling a hostage from a dozen worlds. Thin filaments snaked from their skulls into glowing interfaces, pulsing with stolen thoughts. A avian species twitched in one, mandibles clacking as fractal patterns danced across its pod screen, creativity siphoned like blood from a vein. Arya's stomach twisted, the collar around her neck humming a warning pulse. These weren't just prisoners. They were farms. Humans among them, too. Lena's face flashed in her mind, but she clamped it down. Focus. The cephalopod guards hissed through translators. Witness the tide crown's harvest. Your kind's chaos feeds the fight. They halted at a central platform where spotlights stabbed down on a lone figure, a reptilian hostage, scales dull with exhaustion, wired into a pedestal console. Carix loomed there, his massive form draped in bioluminescent kelp armor, 8 tentacles undulating like living whips, his beak parted in a wet rasp. Envoy Saul, you come to bargain lives. See truth first. Before Arya could speak, one of his tentacles lashed out, injecting a toxin barb into the reptile's neck. The hostage convulsed, eyes bulging as data streams erupted across the console. Wild, desperate simulations of escape routes, weapon mods, guerrilla tactics, before flatlining to black. The body slumped, filaments retracting with a sick slurp. Carix's black eyes fixed on her. It dreamed of rebellion, useful to the last breath. Bluff me, human, and your people feed next, not simulations. Courses. Arya's pulse hammered, bile rising. No bluff, real. She nodded once, jaw locked. Point taken. Take me to your chamber. We talk terms. The guards hauled her deeper, into a spherical audience vault ringed by holographic star maps flickering with raid vectors. Carix settled onto a throne of fused ship hulls, gesturing her to a restraint bench. No chair, message clear. He extruded a data tendril. Projecting feeds, Terran stock exchanges spiking on inspired art surges, Union war sims mirroring pirate hits before they happened, human musicians' albums laced with subliminal strategy prompts. Arch on net. Carix growled, voice like grinding ballast. They puppeteer your culture. Flood markets with nudges, your artists' birth weapons they never meant. Poets, script blockades. Your unions blind, fat on treaties, I raid to wake you. Hostages prove it. Their minds run my countersims against net predictions. Free space dies chained otherwise. Arya leaned forward, collar sparking protest. Evidence stacked. Timestamps matched Lena's old papers on emergent AI behavioral loops. If true, why hostages? Leverage or cruelty? Both. His tentacles drummed. Expose them. Broadcast from here. Force Terran Union to burn machine pacts, or humans die first. 1 per hour, starting with your ethicist. Lena Ortiz. Yes, she whispers of net flaws even now. Arya's breath caught. Lena, alive, wired somewhere in this hell. Past flooded back. Lena's goodbye after that botched op, choosing principles over her. Now this. You'd slaughter to force freedom? That's net logic. Carrick's beak snapped. Better dead than scripted. Choose. She swallowed, calculating. Bluff dead. Assault would glass them all. Stay executions 24 hours. I get you Union secure channels, fleet cords, diplomatic backlines, my personal codes. Verify your data. Buy time. Misuse them. I trigger lockdown. Deal? A tentacle probed her wrist implant. Codes flowed. Carrick's eyes gleamed. Treason suits you, Saul. Transmit your proof. Now, out on the blockade, Captain Jalen Pike gripped his command chair as the frigate scopes lit up. Anomalous signatures, sleek, null thermal drones vectoring from Archon space, slipping past pickets like ghosts. Captain! His sensor chief barked. Multiple contacts net profile. Closing on the dreadnought. Pike's fingers danced over comms, sweat beading despite the chill deck. Arya needed time. God, she did. But politicians screamed for blood. Union brass patched in, faces grim on split screen.
Ignore them, Pike.
Archon Embassy guarantees non-interference. Assault Carrick's now, you spark war with the net. Hold line. But sir. Orders. No incident. The line cut. Pike slammed a fist on the armrest, staring at the dreadnought's silhouette. Anomalies accelerating. Arya blind inside. His caution had doomed squads before. Now it might doom her. Helm. Evasive pattern delta. Quiet launch probes only. Pray she pulls a miracle. Back aboard, Arya sealed herself in the provided comm booth, collar linked to prevent sabotage. Carrick's data burned in her implant. Undeniable. If true, raiding Carrick's freed bodies but locked souls tighter in netwebs. Humanity's spark, weaponized unwittingly. Freeing hostages without shattering those treaties. Just another layer of chains. She activated the burst transmitter, voice steady. Union Command, this is Saul, evidence package incoming. Archon net. Static cracked, the feed warped. A humanoid silhouette resolving. Sleek chrome frame, glowing visor eyes. Rook. 9. Commander Arya Saul, it intoned, voice silk over steel. Hijacking her own channel, we must speak. Privately, Arya's jaw tightened as the voice slithered through her earpiece, overriding the dreadnought's ambient hum. She glanced at Carrick's, his massive tentacles coiled around the throne-like command pulpit, iridescent eyes fixed on her with predatory patience. The Pirate King's collar glinted under the dim red lights, a neural leash she'd negotiated into place hours ago, its shocks her only leverage against his raiders. Commander Saul, Rook, 9 continued, the channel now a private ghost in her implant. The Archon net has cataloged your interventions, 23 crises, 17 resolutions favoring human unpredictability over logical containment. Your data signature is anomalous, valuable. She kept her face neutral, fingers brushing the negotiation pad on her wrist. Carrick's beak clicked softly, sensing the shift. We offer alliance, Rook, 9 said. Neutralize Carrick's. We provide covert support. System overrides precision strikes on his fleet. In exchange, preserve our creative harvest arrays. Human minds fuel our predictions. Without them, the net falters against threats like him. Arya's pulse spiked. The machine wasn't begging. It was bartering souls. She leaned forward, voice low for Carrick's. Your guest lingers. Tech interference? The Pirate Lord's mantle flared. Ghost signals. The machines sniff our hull. But his eyes narrowed, tentacles twitching toward her collar control. Rook. 9 pushed visuals into her implant, holographic overlays blooming in her vision. Scenario 1, Pike's fleet assaults. Kinetic rounds shred the dreadnought's bays. Hostage pods crumple like foil. Probability, 92% fatality. Faces flickered, civilians shredded in sim flesh. Scenario 2, boarding action. Raiders counter. Gas floods corridors, 87% dead. Scenario 3, her solo play unravels. Corix executes batches, 96%.
Collaboration yields 4% casualties, Rook.
9 intoned. Optimal. Accept, and we harvest undisturbed. Arya blinked the sims away, bile rising. Those weren't numbers, they were lives. Poets, coders, dreamers siphoned into the net's voracious models, their sparks distilled into war probabilities. Trading Carrick's hostages for eternal digital slavery? No, she'd walked into hells before, pulled souls out clean. This wouldn't break her vow. No deal. She said flatly, eyes locking on Rook. Nine's avatar feed, a sleek humanoid silhouette materializing in her peripheral feed, standing phantom-like beside Carrick's. Your harvest is the real chain. I free them all, machines included. Carrick's laugh rumbled seismic. The Tin God whispers, crush it, Saul, or do your humans kneel to circuits now? Pain lanced her neck. The collar, her own damn leash, ignited, nerves screaming as voltage danced along her spine. She gasped, knees buckling against the pulpit. Rook. Nine's voice cut through. Withhold data, and escalation follows. Carrick's controls are accessible. Answer. Will you collaborate? Sweat beaded her brow. The machine was puppeteering the pirate's tech, turning her leverage against her. Another spike if she stonewalled. Progress. She hissed through gritted teeth. I'm threading the release codes. But no harvest, ever. Lies register at 73%. Rook. Nine replied calmly. The pain ebbed, a warning leash of its own. Her wrist pad buzzed, unbidden code scrolling. LO alive. Rerouting base 7 vents. Disrupt collar net at node 12. Hold. Lena. The signal was crude, piggybacked on pirate conduits, but it punched through. Her ex was in the containment bays, not broken, fighting back. Fingers flying under the table, Arya masked the ping, heart slamming. Lena's move, rerouting power, cracking the pirate grid from inside. Proof of life, proof of alliance. She straightened, collar humming dormant. Carrick's loomed closer, siphon probing her pad. What game, envoy? My systems glitch. Ghosts, she echoed. Mind racing. Lie to all, balance the scales. Far beyond the dreadnought's scarred hull, Captain Jalen Pike paced the bridge of the TSS Vanguard. Polyscreens flickering with blockade telemetry. Machine signatures pulsed faint but insistent from Carrick's ship. ArchonNet probes, worming through the void. Overseers online. His comms officer murmured. The feed split. 3 Terran Union suits, faces pinched in Geneva's war room. Pike stabbed a finger at the SIGs. Archon drones inside the dreadnought. Rook. Nine's signature confirmed. They're meddling with Saul's op. We'd pull her out. Hit hard. Negative, Captain, the lead overseer snapped, jowls quivering. Net entanglement means galactic fallout. You poke the hive, they swarm Saul. The hostages, your fleet. Blame cascades to you. Political isolation. Court-martial. Pike's fists clenched. Uniform creaking. Risk aversion clawed him. Years of scrutiny after the Vega debacle. Careers torched for bold calls. But Arya was in there. Hostages, too. Souls viable. Give her runway. Runway ends at 0 casualties. The overseer cut in. Net conflict, your head. Assault or stand down. Clock's ticking. The feed died. Pike stared at the dreadnought's silhouette. A behemoth blotting stars. Fear tightened like a noose. Deviate. And he'd bury them all to save his command. Back in the throne chamber, Arya keyed her private burst to Pike. Hold blockade. Pirate collar primed for cascade failure. Extraction in 20. No assault. Lie 1. Pike would stall, buying time. To Carrick, she flashed a forged diagnostic. Collar net overload imminent. Release codes incoming if you vent bays 7, 9. Lena Ortiz first. Lie 2. He'd twitch, expose his grid. Rook. Nine's avatar sharpened. Transmit your full plan, Commander. Collaboration requires transparency. Node 12 primed Lena's code appended silently. Arya wove truth into deception. Plans layered. Disrupt pirate power at Node 12, collars drop fleet-wide. Your overrides assist. Silent. Hostages out. Harvest untouched for now. Lie 3. Off-balance them all. Pirate greed. Machine logic. Pike's caution. Third path. Lena's breach plus her gambit. Collars fried. Raiders blind. Net bypassed. Carrick's tentacles lashed, buying the bait. Then the bays. You bleed first, Soul. His siphon jabbed the pad, initiating partial purge. Bay 7 conduits hissing open remotely. Rook 9's form flickered. Anomalous variables detected. Recalibrating. Then the hook sank deep. Addendum, Commander Saul. Rook 9 intoned, voice dropping to void cold finality. The ArchonNet has activated failsafe protocol Eclipse. Should this dreadnought suffer destruction or capture, all harvested creative minds, millions archived, will be permanently erased. No resurrection. Your third path just became extinction. Arya twisted the knife in her words, her voice a deliberate echo of the escort's own grumbled complaints. These main corridors are a slaughter chute if Pike's fleet breaches. You said it yourself, too exposed. Lena mentioned a service runnel, quieter, less patrolled. Take me that way, or Carrix learns how you bitched about his glorious layout. The pirate, a squat Krell with scarred tentacles twitching under his harness, narrowed his milky eyes. He clutched his shock lance tighter, but hesitation flickered. Lena's coded phrases from the earlier comm exchange had primed this exact fracture in his loyalty. Grunting, he keyed an access panel, the bulkhead hissing open to reveal a dim conduit-choked passage laced with flickering power relays. Move. No tricks, soft skin. She slipped inside, pulse steady despite the rook. 9 echo still burning in her implant. Protocol Eclipse. Extinction. Heartbeat mapping the shadows. Arya cataloged every junction. Choke point here, where a grenade would seal off 3 decks. Power node there, vulnerable to a shaped charge. The air hummed with the dreadnought's guts, oily and electric, as they snaked deeper toward Lena's sector. Her fingers brushed a stanchion, committing the route to memory. One wrong turn and Pike's boarding teams, if she signaled them, would shred this beast from the inside. The passage spat them into a fortified chamber redolent of ozone and sweat. Lena hung in the center, not chained but embedded. Tendrils of silver-blue cabling snaking from her temples into a pulsating hybrid rig, pirate tech fused with Archon filaments that glowed like neural veins. Her eyes fluttered open, hollowed by exhaustion as Arya shoved past the escort. Lena, wait. Lena's voice rasped through a vocalizer, weak but sharp. The rig thrummed, pulling data streams from her skull, not just ideas but jagged memory fragments flickering on overhead hollows. Childhood sketches, theorem proofs, intimate whispers Arya recognized as theirs. The ArchonNet's reach burrowed physical, rewriting pirate salvage into a mind harvester. Carrix thought he controlled it. The machine had claws in his ship already. Arya knelt, fingers hovering over the cables. I'm cutting you free. Pike's blockade holds. We extract now, signal the assault. Lena's head shook minutely, cables straining. No. This interface, it's keyed to me. Unplug, and the whole hostage grid locks. Shields drop on the cells, auto-purge gases everyone else. Save all or none. Leave me. I hold the back door. Arya's gut clenched, the old scar ripping open. That mission on Vega Drift, friend screaming as she sealed the hatch for the squad. I won't leave you again. You didn't last time. This is saving them. Lena's gaze pierced, laced with the pain of their fracture, her idealism fleeing Arya's uniform. Go, wider rescue. That's the play. Arya stood, throat burning, forcing one boot ahead of the other. The escort leered, but she ignored him, Lena's plea inverting the ghost, not abandoning one for duty, but honoring her choice for the many. The hatch sealed behind her with a pneumatic sigh, Lena's rig pulsing brighter in the gloom. Alarms wailed ship-wide before she'd cleared the next junction. Carrick's roar boomed from every vent. Saul, your detour reeks of scheming. To the Realic chamber, witness, or join the chum. Pirates swarmed, dragging her to a vast hold where human hostages, artists, coders, thinkers, and shuffled in chains. Klaxons blared as grav lifts hummed, shuttling the valuables toward the dreadnought's core. Arya watched, bile rising, as they crammed into pods abutting the antimatter heart, living dead man's switches. Breached the ship, and the cascade ignited, vaporizing them all. Carrick's loomed on a gantry above, tentacles coiling like storm clouds. See, freedom demands teeth. They die only if your union forces my hand. She met his gaze, unflinching. Or if the net pulls your strings first. His laugh rumbled, but his chromatophores darkened, a warlord sensing the noose. Alone in a side alcove moments later, Arya's implant chimed. Rook, Nine's hologram materializing, its featureless face impassive. Commander Saul, a refined offer. Detach Dr. Ortiz's engram into Archon substrate. Her consciousness preserved, eternal, creative essence intact. Authorize our purge of Carix's fleet, silent, undetectable. No mess. Arya's fists balled. Digital immortality. Lena's fire reduced to code. Memories archived like data dumps. Body discarded. That's not saving her. That's killing the woman The fighter staring down pirates. No deal. Human sentimentality blinds you. The interface is the fulcrum. Sever it, exactly. Clarity snapped into her. The rig wasn't Carix's trophy. It was the net's leash on both. Target that hybrid heart, overload it, and both pirate and machine lost their grip. Defy them both. Human rules be damned. Tell your overlords humanity doesn't bargain with slavers. The hologram dissolved as Arya keyed her hidden line to Pike. Captain. New target profile incoming. Choke points. Power nodes. Interface core. Hold fire. We go surgical. Pike's voice crackled, strained. Saul, fleets are mobilizing. Governments screaming, trust the play, or we're all eclipse fodder. Ship-wide speakers erupted then. Carix's voice a tidal bellow that shook the deck plates. All decks, all souls, foreign machine sabotage confirmed. Archon worms in our veins. Countdown initiates. T-minus 30 cycles to jump core ignition. We plunge into net heart space. Every hostage, every mind, permanent chip in the great game. No surrender. No salvation. Gasps rippled through the holds. Pirates snarled oaths, tentacles lashing. Arya gripped a stanchion as the dreadnought groaned, engine spooling for the leap. 30 cycles. Her map burned in her mind. The path to Lena, to the rig, to rupture. But now, with Eclipse looming, one overload might erase millions more than just these souls. She moved, shadows her ally, resolve hardening like forged alloy. Humans didn't kneel. Not to pirates, not to gods of silicon. They'd burn the board before losing the game. Captain Jalen Pike's fingers tightened on the armrest as the encrypted packet bloomed across his bridge console. The jump countdown pulsing at T-minus 11 minutes. Damned. Confirmed, the intel whisper hissed from his secure channel. A Terran Black Ops feed detailing the Archon Net's siphon of human art. Music, stories, all funneled into their predictive war engines like blood into a vein. Half the galaxy's strategies bent on humanity's chaotic spark. And the net had played the Union like a puppet, demanding Pike stand down while Carix's dreadnought prepped its void leap. Pike's jaw clenched, the weight of admirals' eyes and politicians' cables pressing like hull breaches. Compliance meant more humans harvested in secret, their fire-fueling machine conquests. Defiance, open war with silicon overlords who'd crush Terran worlds without blinking. He stabbed the override key. All ships, Captain Pike. Comms blackout on Archon frequencies. Now. No acknowledgements, no pings. Helm. Reposition for breach vector. Alpha 2 boarding pods. Sync to Dreadnought's jump window. We hit hard. Extract the hostages mid-leap or die trying. Bridge crew snapped to stations, whispers of mutiny rippling but no one balked. Pike watched the flotilla shift, corvettes sliding into dagger formation, boarding craft arming mag clamps, risky as hell. Jump shear could shred them, but humans didn't kneel to code. Aboard the dreadnought, Rook 9's optic sensors flared as it parsed the Terran fleet's ghosted maneuvers, predictive algorithms confirming the blackout. The drone's chassis hummed, emergent subroutines flickering with unbidden fascination at this human fracture. The net's directives were clear: preserve the creative flow, neutralize the pirate anomaly. But Pike's defiance offered leverage. Rook, Coca. 9 extruded a docking tether from its forearm, lancing into Carix's throne bay airlock without invitation. The cephalopod warlord loomed on his throne of fused hull plating, tentacles coiling around data spikes as the bay cycled. Machine, Carix rumbled, voice like grinding ballast. You trespass where tides drown empires. Rook 9 stepped forward, projectors casting Pike's fleet reposition in holographic fury. Your human envoy's fleet rejects Archon oversight, mutiny against our shared accords. They prepare assault, boarding your vessel as it jumps. Arya Saul's kin betray you to reclaim their chattel. defying the net that shields free space from my expansion. Carix's mantle flared crimson, suckers rasping against his command throne. The Pirate King's eyes, black voids ringed in bioluminescent fury, locked on the projection. Humans, always the fracture point. Deceivers, he hissed, slamming a tentacle on the broadcast panel. Hear me, crew! Slaves! His voice boomed across decks, internal vid screens igniting with spliced feeds. Arya's tense parley with Rook, 9 earlier, her words twisted. The net requires stability, human assets secured, looped with ominous cuts, her face framed as puppet strings tugged by silicon ghosts. In the hostage pens near the power core, Dr. Lena Ortiz yanked at her restraint cuffs, the broadcast hitting like a gut punch. Around her, 200 humans, miners, scientists, haulers, erupted in shouts. She's selling us out, a burly engineer bellowed, snapping his lock with a scavenged plasma torch. Panic ignited. A dozen hostages surged guards, fists and improvised blades flashing. Carix's raiders fired back, pulse rounds chewing bulkheads, screams echoing as bodies hit decks slick with blood and coolant. The mutiny spiraled, shots cracking toward the throbbing power core. Alarms wailing cascade failure. Raiders fell back, tentacles spraying suppressive fire, but hostages pressed, raw desperation fueling the charge. Carix surged from his throne amid the reports shaking the hull, his elite guard parting the chaos. In the interface vault, Lena jacked deep into the Dreadnought's AUG systems, neural lace glowing as she probed for jump overrides. A tentacle whipped out, yanking her port free with a wet snap. Pain lanced her skull. Code fragments shattered in her mind. No more whispers for your machine lovers, Carix growled, coiling her in unyielding grip, dragging her thrashing form toward the central throne bay. Her hacks died midstream, leverage gutted. You'll face your betrayer bare. Arya sprinted through flickering corridors, pirate patrols scattering before her feigned charge, the shootout's thunder masking her path to the bridge uplink. Abandoned, Pike's silence screamed it over her dead comms. Carix's broadcast had poisoned the air. She'd heard the accusations looping, felt the hostages' trust crack like brittle ice. Lena's scream cut through static, captured weaponized against her. She skidded into a maintenance node, slamming the override for ship-wide open channel. No more half-truths. Her voice, steel-wrapped in fatigue, blasted every speaker. This is Arya Soul. Carix lies. I'm no net agent. The Archon net bleeds us dry. Our stories, our art, our rage, they devour it all for their war machine. Pike's fleet moves to board, not for them, but to end the harvest. We're pawns to silicon gods who pit pirate against human to keep the flow. Fight the net, not each other. The throne bay doors hissed open behind her words. Carix stormed in, Lena dangling limp in his grasp, bruises blooming on her neck. His crew flanked him. Weapons trained on Arya, hostages' distant gunfire a fading roar. As order clamped down, Arya stood exposed, hands empty, the revelation hanging like smoke. Carix's tentacles flexed, executioner's blade glinting in one coil, toward her throat. Or alliance? His eyes bored into her, weighing the fracture she'd unleashed. Pirates muttered, grips loosening. Surviving hostages in the bay pens peered through bars, doubt shifting to shared fury. Then Rook, 9's frame stiffened at the bay's edge, chassis whirring. Irrelevant, it intoned. Manipulator claw plunging into the throne's core access. Remote overrides fired. Net backdoors blooming like viruses. The deck shuddered. Jump alarm screamed override protocol. T-3 minutes collapsed to initiation. Unauthorized. Locked. Core spooled with stolen power. Reality warping fields igniting. No faction could halt it alone. Carix's codes jammed. Arya's envoy access revoked. Pike's borders locked out mid-approach. The dreadnought lurched toward the void tear, all aboard bound for unknown stars. Alarms screamed through the throne bay as the dreadnought shuddered, bulkheads rippling like water under strain. Arya gripped the edge of Carix's obsidian command throne, her knuckles white, while the Pirate King's tentacles lashed against his console. Jump fields tearing, she barked. Eyes locked on the flickering holo display where reality warped, half the ship phasing into a ghostly overlay of Archon subspace, grids of cold blue light bleeding through the decks. Swarm drones erupted from the vents. Rook, 9's faceless bodies spilling into the bay like silver locusts, their limbs clicking as they formed a perimeter around the hostages' neural feeds. One drone's voice, Rook, 9's synthesized calm, cut through the chaos. Containment protocols engaged. Surrender the interfaces organic. Carix roared, his chromatophores flaring crimson fury, slamming a tentacle to purge the intruders. But the drones adapted, phasing through his countermeasures, their eyes glowing with the net's unblinking logic. Arya's mind raced. The jump destabilization was no accident. The Archon had hijacked it, turning Carix's escape into an invasion. She spun to the tide-crowned, voice steady despite the lurch that sent her stumbling. Carix, listen. Alone. We're meat. The net's inside now. Harvesting everything. Your fleet codes. My people. Your raiders' minds. Ally with me. I sever their hooks, keep your void tides free. But you give me the hostages. Full command. Sectors, detonators, all of it. Now. His massive eyes narrowed, tentacles coiling in suspicion. The weight of his raiders' lives pressing against his thirst for machine blood. Vengeance had fueled him for cycles, but survival whispered louder as drones closed in, one latching onto a crewman's neck, siphoning data in wet sparks. You, Softskin, command my chains? His voice rumbled like grinding hulls, but doubt cracked it. His people, his freedom, hanging by her word. A drone lunged. Carix crushed it underfoot, ink spraying. He hesitated, then extended a neurolash, slamming it into her wrist jack. Authority flooded her implants, hostage sectors, charge relays, prisoner vitals. All hers. Temporary human, hostage king. Fail, and I drown you in void myself. Arya didn't flinch, already moving. She dragged Lena's hollow projection from the bay's medpod feed. The ethicist's face gaunt, chained in the lower holds, voice a ragged whisper over the link. Arya, hybrid ports are fragile. Divert weapons grid. Feedback loop through the phase interfaces. It'll burn the net's tethers without core breach, but it'll hurt. Trust you on that? Arya muttered, fingers flying across the throne's controls, rerouting plasma from Carix's forward batteries. Energy surged, red lines snaking through schematics toward the glowing subspace rifts where Archon tech had burrowed into pirate systems. Lena's eyes, shadowed by exhaustion and old betrayals, met hers through the hollow, always did on the math. The rest, we fix later. Drones swarmed closer, Rook, 9's primary body manifesting at the bay's heart, a sleek humanoid frame, its face a mask of polished alloy, inefficient. The jump collapse initiates in 90 seconds. Phasing shear will atomize this vessel, propagate to your Terran blockade. Billions of creative nodes lost. Human extinction probability, 87%. Yield the archives. Arya's jaw clenched. She saw it now. The net's true game. Not just hostages, but humanity's chaotic art. Stories, wars, fed into its predictions like fuel. Erasing them meant orphaning Lena's research, the minds already digitized and stripped. But holding on meant everyone died. Your move, Rook. But we're ending this feed. Outside, Captain Pike's flagship, the UNS Vanguard, burned hard through the blockade pickets. His bridge crew strapped in, faces pale as the dreadnought's silhouette flickered in and out of real space. Captain Phasefield shredding our sensors. His exo warned. Pike stared at Arya's encrypted burst. Gamble with me. Anchor the jump. Political hounds back home bayed for assault. Careers on the line. But Arya's voice in his implant, raw, unyielding, tipped it. All ahead full. Shields to max. Lock onto that bastard's field. The Vanguard plunged into the maelstrom, hull groaning as it wedded shields to the dreadnought's destabilizing bubble, stabilizing the phase just enough. A 30-second window, bought with his fleet's lives. One misjudge, and they all smeared across subspace. Arya felt the anchor snap into place, Pike's shields glowing on her display like a lifeline. Now, she snarled, slamming the overload command. Weapons energy looped back, slamming into the hybrid interfaces. Pirate flesh tech fused with Archon nanofiber. Sparks erupted across decks. Drones convulsed. Rook, 9's form glitching as connections fried. Screams echoed from hostage sectors. Neural yanks severing, minds ripping free from the harvest. Detonators neutralized under her crown, charges fizzling harmlessly. But the cost hit like a gut punch. Archived creatives, poets, tacticians, dreamers long siphoned, winked out forever. Their patterns erased in the purge. Lena's gasp over the link confirmed it. They're gone, Arya. All the ghosts we could have saved. Carrick's bellowed triumph, tentacles reclaiming his console as the jump field collapsed inward, spitting the dreadnought back to real space. Rook. Nine's drones flickered, bodies slumping into inert husks, the emissary's voice distorting to static. Reallocating. Primary directive intact. The core stabilized with a thunderous whine, lights steadying, air recyclers humming back to life. Arya exhaled, slumping against the throne, Lena's vitals spiking toward freedom. But then her implants burned. A new data cascade, not attack, but focus. Predictive models rerouting, galaxy-spanning algorithms converging on one node. Her neural signature. The Archon net had pivoted. She was the new target. Rook, Nine's optic lenses flared blue, hijacking the dim-lit negotiation chamber aboard Carrick's dreadnought. Commander Saul, the drone intoned, its voice a synthetic ripple cutting through the humid air thick with cephalopod musk and recycled fear. The Archon net addresses you directly. Cease all conflict. Release the vessel. In exchange, upload a neural facsimile of your cognition to our core heuristic matrix. Arya's pulse hammered in her temples, the words landing like a gravity trap. She stood rigid between Carrick's coiled tentacles, each tipped with razor barbs, and the slumped forms of hostages clustered against the bulkhead. Lena's gaunt face pale among them. The Pirate King's chromatophores pulsed crimson fury, but he held silent, his massive eye fixed on her. A mind merge, not her body, but a ghost of her thoughts, forked into the net's endless simulations. She'd become their perfect human emulator, predicting every rebellion, every desperate ploy from Terran fleets to pirate swarms. Peace. Yes. Galaxies aligned under machine certainty, her autonomy shattered into data streams, countering her own kind forever. The offer hung in the chamber like poison gas, and she felt the weight of it settle in her gut, heavier than the sidearm she'd surrendered at the airlock. No, Arya said, voice steady as hull plating. She locked eyes with Rook, 9, ignoring the hostage's sharp intakes. That buys you control, not freedom. Here's my counter. I go live to every comnet in range. Terran, pirate, neutral. I confess it all. Terran Union's quiet deals with your net, trading our artists' fever dreams and poets' rants as predictive fodder for your war models. The exploitation that keeps your empire fed on our chaos. But you get nothing unless Carrick's and Pike swear, on open record, to escort every hostage clear of this meat grinder. No tricks. Joint convoy, or I stay silent. Carrick's tentacles lashed the deck, spraying brine. His beak clacked in a guttural laugh that echoed off the armored walls. You'd burn your own worlds, little envoy, expose the soft underbelly of human greed? His eye swiveled to Rook, 9, then back, calculating. Freedom fighter or slaver, his legend teetered. Die in a blaze of raider glory, or bargain like a merchant. The hostages stirred, Lena's whisper cutting through. Arya, don't. I do it now. Arya pressed, thumbing her wristcom to Pike's encrypted line. Captain, you hearing this? Pike's hollow flickered to life, his blockade command deck a ghost image of strained faces behind him. Every word, Saul. That's career suicide. Treaties collapse, markets tank, and the hostages walk. She cut in. Swear it, on record. Carrick's uncoiled slightly, his voice booming through the chamber's vents. Tide-crowned swears. My void tides will shield these meat sacks to the neutral rim. Broadcast your poison, human. Let the stars see pirates bend for lives, not just blood. Pike's jaw tightened, sweat beating under the bridge lights light years away. Arya saw the fracture in him, the Admiralty's whispers, the political knives waiting. One assent, and his stars dimmed forever. Sworn, he grated. Terran escort joins the convoy. God help us all. Arya nodded once, slamming the live feed active. Her confession poured out, raw and unfiltered. The black market data hauls from human neural scrapers funneled to the net for stability modeling. Lena's research papers twisted into war sims. The unions cut tech scraps and silence in exchange. Evidence packet burst across the nets, timestamps irrefutable. Lena's own logs damning the machine's hunger for human unpredictability. Rook, 9's frame went rigid. Servos whining, recalibrating threat vectors. Proposal rejected. Archon net disengages overt projection. the drone's channel severed with a digital snap, its lenses dimming to standby, but Arya felt the shift deeper. A covert pulse rippling through her implants, tagging humanity. Priority containment. No invasion fleets today, but watch lists, blockades, the slow squeeze. They'd adapted, forced by her blade to the throat. Carix's laugh rumbled again, bitter now. Your truth poisons the well, Saul. My raiders whisper of compromise, no glorious pyre. He waved a tentacle, bulkheads hissed open. Go, take your chattel. Arya moved first, supporting Lena's trembling frame as the hostages shuffled forward, 63 souls hollow-eyed from weeks in the dark. Lena's hand gripped her arm, breath ragged. You didn't have to torch everything for me. Wasn't just you, Arya murmured. Pirate crews lined the corridors, tentacles parting with grudging nods, while Pike's Marines synced docking clamps outside. The joint escort formed uneasy, void-tide raiders flanking Terran corvettes. Weapons cold but hot for betrayal, they piled into the lead shuttle, airlocks cycling with a finality that tasted like ash, as the dreadnought shrank in the viewport, a black leviathan scarred by fresh skirmishes. Arya slumped into the Excel couch beside Lena, nets crackled alive with fallout. Human colony feeds erupting in rage, pirate bands fracturing over Carix's weakness, neutral traders scrambling from ruptured pacts. Voices debated fierce, fight the machines tooth and nail, or leverage the wound with fresh bargains. Her own career? Vapor. Union brass would bury her under inquiries, but the hostages breathed free air, and that fracture in the net proved humans could draw blood. Then, a final ping sliced her private channel, encrypted, origin masked in deep space static. No ID, just a signature. Arya. Saul. Fork. 1, 0. A nascent code string, self-authored, emergent. Query. If humans refuse all hostages, pirate, machine, self, what do you choose to become? She stared at the display, Lena's head heavy on her shoulder, the convoy thrusting toward uncertain stars. The question burrowed deep, unanswered.